In Lesson 2, we discussed the aspects that make up our visual experience, including the positions of the objects, forms, and surfaces that make up our surroundings. We recognize objects based on the relative positions of their forms. For example, the difference between two faces is often subtle variations in the positions of facial features. We easily notice these subtle differences, allowing us to recognize familiar faces. We understand the positions of forms in space based on where they appear in our visual field. To show the positions of forms in our drawing, we place elements at relative distances that are similar to the distances we see in our visual field. If these distances are accurate, the form will appear to sit correctly in the three-dimensional space that the drawing represents. If these distances are inaccurate, the proportions may seem distorted. We can study the distances in our visual field using visual measurement. To take visual measurements, close one eye, then hold your pencil between your eye and your subject with your arm locked out straight. Line up the tip of your pencil to one end of a distance you want to measure. Place your thumb on the pencil at the other end of the distance. Now you can compare this distance to other distances that you see. In this example, the distance between the bottom of the nose and the chin is just a little bit shorter than the length of the nose. And the distance between the right edge of the nose and the far end of the right eye is a little bit less than the length of the nose. Now, you can compare the same distances in your drawing to see if their proportions are similar to the proportions that you see. By comparing distances, we can measure the visual proportions of our subject. In this example, the leg is 5 heads tall. When taking visual measurements, it's important to keep your elbow locked out straight, because variations in the distance between your pencil and your eye will cause your measurements to be inconsistent. It's also important to make your measurements with the pencil straight horizontal or vertical, since variations in the angle will cause variations in your measurements. We can also use visual measurement to check the alignment of features in our subject by holding the pencil straight horizontally and vertically in front of the subject to see how features align. For example, the inside edge of the eye aligns with the outside edge of the nostril. I can compare this to my drawing to see if the same features align. In this lesson's exercise, we'll practice using visual measurement by drawing a subject that has a lot of parts, such as a still life with many objects, or an entire room. This will force us to use visual measurement to correctly place the position of those parts in space. Start with the larger forms and objects, and work your way down to the smaller ones. You can think of this as a puzzle. Use the distances that you've established to find the ones you don't know yet. Evaluate your drawing based on the accuracy of the positions and proportions of your subject. Start by drawing the front of this shoebox, and I'll use its height as a unit of measure. So check its width, and it needs to be a little bit wider. Then I'll start finding the other larger items. So I have this box here, and I'll find its height. I'll check the bottom with the horizontal. Then I'll find the placement of the locker with those measurements and its height relative to this box. Now I have the biggest items figured out. I can work on the smaller items like this little bucket cup thing. Find the location of the Rubik's Cube and the chess piece. Then I can find its height with this horizontal. Find the height of this little egg. And the height of the skull, and the width of the skull. Then I can find the mug and check its width. And find the bottom of the locker and the bottom of the mug with that horizontal. Then I'll find the width of the door, which is slightly open. And the height of the stapler. The width is about the same as the locker, so I can just use that. Start finding the watch. And with all the big items out of the way, I can just eyeball the smaller items. This is where having lots of items can really help give you feedback. Because if my proportions are off, these little items won't fit together correctly in the still life. It's also worth noting that this demo is sped up because I don't want this video to be 40 minutes long. I know you can watch videos like this and feel like, well, maybe I should start drawing really fast, but no, take your time to think. This is not how fast I draw. So I'll check my proportions, and I'm pretty close. I was off a little bit on the egg in the left side of the box, but overall, pretty good. I'll start with the inside of the fireplace, and I'll use that as my unit of measure. I use the width and check the height. I'll make it a little bit smaller. This exercise is similar to the last one, but when you're doing a whole room, you have to be cognizant of the edges of your frame or the edges of your page, so you don't draw too big or too small and end up with things going off the edge of the page or running out of room. So we'll find the edges of our frame by measuring. In this case, my photo has actual edges of the frame, but when doing this from life, I'd want to establish where are the edges of the area that I want to draw. Now that I've found my frame, the next thing I want to do is find the corners of the walls and the ceiling. Find the big things first, and then the small things will fit. I know where the floor is. Find the ceiling. It's about 2 units up. Find the outside edges of the fireplace. Then I'll start with this couch here and the window. Check its position vertically with the horizontal. Find the ceiling and the top of the window. Then I'll find this table down here and use that to establish the bottom of the couch with horizontal. Then I'll start finding the other couch. About 1 unit is that fold in the couch, and then about 1 unit is the far side of the chair. I can eyeball the rest of the couch based on that. And I can eyeball some other stuff. It feels a little cramped on that side. I'm going to double check. Yeah, I think I need to make it just a little bit wider. Add the carpet and the bottom of the fireplace. And there we go. Shrink it down a little bit. And yeah, that ended up being pretty close. For your 90-minute study session, spend the first 30 minutes practicing visual measurement, using the exercise I covered earlier. Spend the next 50 to 55 minutes drawing your object to the best of your ability. If you finish your drawing before the end of the session, draw your object again with the remaining time. If you don't finish drawing your object before the end of the session, you can pick up where you left off in the next session, or take extra time if you need to. After you're done drawing, spend 5 to 10 minutes reflecting and writing on how it went. What went well, and what do you think you could do better next time? If you like accountability, post your study schedule in the accountability channel of the Discord group. If you'd like feedback, post the result of your exercises in the exercises channel, and share your drawing and a photo of your object in the course critique channel. If you have any questions about the course, you can ask in the course help channel. I can't wait to see your work, and happy drawing!